Okay, we are live. All right. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the budget. Pastor Eddie here, and if you can type in something in the chat box so we can know that you're watching this. So I have with me tonight. I have Pastor Bola with me. I have Jums Oladiran with me. I have Segun Adegabi with me, and I have DJ with me. And tonight we are going to be talking about the budget. We're going to be looking at the implication of the budget, and we're going to be looking at what exactly is this? What are the impact and implication? All right. So if you are watching this either on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook page, I want you to put in a comment so we can know that you're watching this, and feel free to ask questions as we go along on this program. So, ladies and gentlemen, so please welcome. I thought to put this kind of program together because last week the budget was released, right, by our chancellor, and I thought that for some probably just some probably don't care. Some probably don't care. Some actually may care, but they don't really understand its implication and its impact. And that is why we have our panel here today to have this conversation. All right. So I think I'm going to start with Jums. If you can please tell us a little bit about your understanding of the budget, its the summary and the highlights, and how it affects us.
Hi, thank you, Pastor. Thanks for having me on here tonight. So I mean, first of all, what is the budget? For the benefit of those who doesn't know what the budget is basically the financial state. It used to be known as the financial statements, this statement is usually made to the House of Commons by the Chancellor of Exchequer twice a year. Now, given the recent COVID-19 situation whereby the government asked the public and the entire country to go on lockdown, there's been some financial implication of that. And we saw earlier in March where the Chancellor basically announced some helps. We saw the Fallout scheme, we saw some of the help for the businesses. So those, you almost want to see that as the first phase. And this latest budget is the second phase. Usually you only get two budgets twice a year, the March budget and kind of like the autumn budget. So this is in between, and this is announced in order to try and help us recover and to try and prevent recession. And just to summarize some of the things that the Chancellor said on the 8th of July when they made the announcement. It's a continuation of the help that he announced earlier just before we went on lockdown. As we see the Fallout scheme being removed, some of this help has been introduced in order to get the economy going again. So we have things like job retention bonus, is an extension of the job retention scheme, as that kind of, as we see the October in October, as the Fallout scheme is being kind of rounded off and exited, the government is trying to encourage employers to continue to keep employees and not let them go. So that's what the job retention bonus is going to do. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. And then obviously with the hospitality industry, they've been more badly hit than any other industry. There's also an announcement with regards to VAT cut on that from 20% to 5%. And again, one of the biggest one, which I think a lot of people will benefit from, is the stamp duty. So the Chancellor announced a temporary holiday on stamp duty. Again, this is to help revive the property market as well. As a lot of people haven't been able to go view a property or been able to move. This property market literally stood still while, during the lockdown. So again, the stamp duty is to try and kickstart the economy again and kickstart the property market. And there are obviously other schemes to try and increase, job availability and create thousands of more jobs, especially for the younger generation. A lot of people, a lot of younger ones, the government is trying to make sure that they're not severely impacted as a result of this. So there's been a lot of scheme announced here to try and encourage employers to take on apprentices and trainees. And then the other things that family might also find beneficial is the discount on meals on Monday to Wednesday. That also was announced as part of the what we call it mini budget, right? That he announced. And then and then I think another one, or lastly, is the green budget. So basically it's just there to encourage people to again, is there the package, there's the green package that the government announced to encourage green investments in certain industries, and also to encourage households who may want to improve their home and give them some sort of voucher to help them do that and make their home a lot more eco-friendly. So some people might find that beneficial. So in summary, that's what the announcement was all about.
Wow. Now I was just thinking that when you were saying that, going through these highlights, for some it can be a lot, especially when you hear the budget. Jumi, you are a qualified accountant. Both of you are qualified accountants. Talking about Jums and Segun. Now, Segun, why should anybody be interested? Why should anybody be interested? What is the point of the budget, and why should? To the average guy on the street, probably just thinking, okay, yeah. Why should the average person be interested in the budget?
Yeah, I mean, for a myriad of reasons. And sorry, good evening, everyone, and thanks for having me, Pastor. I think for starters, it's as Jums alluded to, it's financial housekeeping. You've got to know how much you're generating and how much you have to spend. It's every household, most households do it anyway. This is just done at a national level. So we should all be interested in it. This is a determination here how our taxes and our national insurance contributions are spent. Where they're going to be going to, if they're going to go into infrastructure projects or just go on to just handing it out to people for whatever. So there is, and effectively, what it does is, it helps you actually hold the government itself to account. It's an accountability document as much as anything else. So these guys are the guys that have been voted in to effectively be stewards of the resources of the nation. So everybody living here really should be interested. There's no point being in a house and saying, I don't care, how the bills are paid. I don't care, all I know is I just want to have a meal. Well, that's not been a responsible, member of the household. And so for that reason and that reason alone, I think, more than anything else, we should all be interested in the budget. There is something in it for everyone or for a lot of people. As June said, from homeowners to potential new entrants into the property market, to young people in the workforce who are still trying to forge their way, build a career, to even the younger ones who are actually just leaving college or university, going into apprenticeships and things like that. There are training programs for all of them. So there is a lot in the pack. I mean, I have to say, just as a mini side issue, this guy who is current Chancellor of the Exchequer is probably the most popular Chancellor in the last quarter of a century, because he's really done a lot to ensure. So this actual package he's released, is effectively to ensure that we, as much as possible, avoid a recession, or make sure the recession itself is not as entrenched as it potentially could be.
Now, Jums mentioned something about the stamp duty, right? What impact does that have on someone trying to buy a house at the moment?
So basically, stamp duty has always been one of those controversial tax, because when you're buying a property, it's a huge chunk of your cost of buying a property, and it does not contribute anything to the value of your property. It's a sunk cost, if you want to see it like that. You have to pay it regardless. And if you look at the current stamp, just before the stamp duty holiday, if you look at it, the average home in the UK, according to ONS, is around £248,000. And if you live in London or outskirts of London, average house prices is a lot higher than that. And if you look, the stamp duty before the holiday is the first £125,000 the value of a home, the first £125,000 is zero stamp duty. So if you're buying a home that is £125,000, you don't have to pay any stamp duty on that. But it's a progressive stamp, is a progressive tax. It's a tax that is done on a sliding scale, if you'd like to see it like that. So after £125,000, then the next £125,000 is then taxed at 2%. And then the next, £750,000 or £700,000 after that is taxed at 5%. So what the Chancellor has done is, given that home purchase is probably going to be the most expensive thing that you and I are probably going to buy in our lifetime, if he reduces that tax stamp duty or remove it completely, it is likely to get everybody, who have intention of buying a home, to make that decision quicker. And by doing that, everybody's spending more. If we're all spending more, which is an expensive purchase, the economy is well stimulated, and that would reduce and avoid, it helps the economy and stabilize the economy, and reduces the chance of severe recession. So what the Chancellor's done is, what he's saying is, he's extended and expanded the stamp duty to 500. If you're buying a home up to a value of £500,000, between now and 31st of March next year, you're not going to pay stamp duty on the first £500,000 value. I say, this is, personally, I think this is the move of God. If you're thinking about buying a property between now and then, if you've always had it in mind, I think this is a good opportunity to do that. You would, if you're buying a property of £500,000, you'll be saving £15,000 pretty much in your pocket. That is something that all first-time buyers should jump on. Really, it's an opportunity. An average savings will be around 4,500, and that money can go towards your deposit, as opposed to just paying that off to the government in tax.
So what if just before I ask this question, if you are listening to this, I think we have about 97 people watching on YouTube, on Facebook, and I cannot see the stats on YouTube. But if you have any question, pop the question on the comment box, and then we will try as much as possible to answer this. Now, my question is this only does this only apply to first-time buyers? What if I want to sell my house? What if I want to sell my house and get a bigger house? Do I still qualify for
Okay, so it's a bit tricky. If you're a first-time buyer, yes, the surcharge doesn't apply to you up onto £500,000. Obviously, after that, then it goes up to, it goes up to 5%, I believe, after the first 500,000. Now, if you're buying a second home, yes, there's a slight change to that. Before, it used to, there is some sort of savings as well if you're buying a second home, but you will still pay 3% on the first £500,000 worth of value of home. So if you're buying a second home or increasing your portfolio, you will still have to pay stamp duty. Okay, it will be 0%, but up to £500,000 is 3%. And you would have to pay. Now, if you are saying, okay, I want to sell my existing property and buy another property, yes, the surcharge will not apply, but it's going to be quite different. Simultaneously, if you simultaneously own both homes, then you would pay stamp duty and you can claim it back. So what does that really mean? So it means that what you do is, if you sell your property, you can claim the tax that you pay, the 3% tax that you pay on the new property. You can claim it back within 3 years of actually selling your within 3 years of buying your new property, so long as you sell your existing property within that 3 years. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you'll be able to claim that stamp duty back. The reason why you can't get 0% is because as long as you're still trying to sell the other property and trying to buy a new one, you're at one point in time, you'll be holding 2 properties in your portfolio, and as long as you have that, you won't be able to claim that 0%, but you can reclaim that surcharge back once you've sold your property. But you need to make sure that you've done that. You do that within 3 years of buying your new property, and this will only apply if you've ever lived in it is a residence. So you ought to have lived in the property that you're about to sell. So if you bought a property before and you never lived in it and you only rented it out, you will not get that. You will not be able to claim that money. You ought to have lived in that property before you can claim that.
Okay, so that's probably going to cut out people who are into buy-to-let properties, then I suppose.
Sorry,
investors, you mean?
Yeah. So
property
that's not people who just invest in buy-to-let property.
Right. This program is not for them.
Yeah, this program obviously, yeah. But having said that, if you actually look at the stamp duty, before this announcement, if you're buying a second home, you would have had to pay 5% between 125,000 and 250, and 8% between 250 and 925. So those who are buying a second home will still benefit, but you would only benefit if you're buying a second home with a higher value. So before you would so someone buying, let me give you an example, someone buying a 250,000 pounds worth of property as a second home or as a buy-to-let, prior to this holiday would have had to pay 5%, but now they would only pay 3%. So there is still some sort of savings. It just means that it's not completely 0%. So yeah, it's still there. It's just it's slightly not. The savings is there. 2%, is a savings if you're buying between 125,000 pounds and 500,000 pounds, whereas you wouldn't have had that savings before.
Okay, all right. Segun, I want to talk about VAT and its implications. And when you hear, for a business, all right, when you hear that VAT is reduced from 20% to 5%, for if you're a business person and you pay VAT, then maybe that's savings in terms of the cost of running your business. But for the individual, though, generally, how does the reduction of the VAT, the value-added tax, benefits the average guy on the street?
Okay, and again, and hence the reason why I mentioned earlier that this is something that's for, it's a budget that actually does touch a lot of people, because the VAT itself, it's specific to the hospitality and tourism industry. So it's not carte blanche like they did in 2008 right across the board from, I think it was 17.5% then to 15%. This is specific to the tourism and hospitality industry. So the idea is, from everything I've read from on government departments, what they actually want to do is, because they know a lot of people aren't going to travel this summer because there are restrictions and and the likes of all of that. And what they have actually also realized is that a lot of people, because they haven't been doing a lot of traveling and they haven't been doing spending money on clothes and whatever, a lot of people have actually built up a mini pot of savings. The expectation of this is to help unlock the economy and get things moving, is by dropping so Jums mentioned the voucher scheme earlier, so like Monday to Wednesdays in August, you get up to £10 off your meal per head in participating restaurants. This extends to cinema, food, and the theaters and zoos and theme parks. So the idea behind this is that by reducing the VAT on food, it makes food cheaper. It makes it cheaper for us who are staycationing or doing domestic tourism this summer in the country to actually go out and spend our money in these restaurants and these theme parks and the likes. That way, the money we would have gone to spend, I don't know, in Istanbul and wherever else we would have gone in this summer, we actually do spend it, not just keep it in the bank. So everyone should see the significance of it in their pockets when they go out and start going to restaurants and the likes.
Okay, so so that's the meaning of what do you call it? I think it said I love the phrase he used. He said, spend more, or no, it's out to us for help, or something like that. I like the way he phrased it.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I can't remember. Yes, yes. He did say something along that. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he did say something along those lines. Yes.
Okay.
Eat more, help out.
What
yeah, that's it. Eat more, help out. Yeah.
So basically, so what we're doing is, obviously, hospitality and tourism industry are the ones that have been badly hit. So by us going out and eating more, we're helping that industry. At the same time, we're saving more. So to put things into perspective, if you go to cinemas or theme parks or zoo or restaurants, and if you would have spent, I don't know, £20 per head as a family of 4, you would have spent, say, £80. Now you would still get the value of £80, but you would only be spending £40. But be mindful, you would only be able to do this on a Monday to Wednesday. Okay, it's not every day, only Monday to Wednesday, and it's £10 per head that you would be saving.
All right. So,
and I think the other thing I was going to add to that, something else to that, which is this industry, tourism and hospitality, also it employs a lot of young people. And again, they employ a lot of young people, and again, this is sort of like to help ensure that these young people we have in the society aren't off work, they stay in work, and they've been given this extra, so like grants for all of those. If you retain them, you would get I think £1,000 between October, once the follow scheme ends, you get £1,000 per member of staff if you retain them till the end of January. I know a couple of organizations have actually come out and said they will not accept this £1,000 grant per head from the government. Primark have said it. We expect a lot of other organizations to follow suit and say they will retain the staff and not take this grant of the government to help the economy. It's PR, but it should be. It should hopefully pay off in the long run.
This spending, it's like woo. There's a flood of cash from the government. Now, I want you guys to please take a minute or 2 minutes each to talk about the implication of government spending. I mean, a part of me feel that this is still going to come back and bite very hard. The whole idea of government borrowing, and I understand the place of stimulating the economy, but if memory serves me correctly, and if history does justice, it's probably going to come back and really bite hard. What's your take on this?
Bite certainly. How hard, we don't know. and we don't know that yet, because if we avoid a recession, or we avoid a nasty recession, then it probably won't be as bad a bite as it would be if it was a really horrible, nasty recession. That's just some because so if we return to I guess pre-COVID levels in the next 3 to 6 months, then taxes are probably going to have to go up, because the furlough scheme, this green grant and all this stuff, someone has to pay for it, and that would be us as citizens of the country. Would have to chip in a little bit more at some point down the line. What they would probably be able to do, instead of sort of like doing it very, very quickly, they can do it. They can go through that process gradually, so it doesn't really hit as hard as it would if there was a deep recession. Well, there's no free meal. I mean, there's something else actually that just popped into my head now. Because I know in one of the programs we had with King Golu, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, where he was talking about free money in inverted commas. One of the issues with that actually is the IFS have actually come out and said about between 3 and 4 billion of that cash has potentially been paid out to fraudsters. Of the 8.5 billion. So
I mean,
we would all have to collectively pay for it, but it's something they had to do to, I guess, just keep businesses afloat and just make sure, we don't.
Well, let's not make any mistake. HMRC, they're very also good at you know, they're very good at coming back to you and asking you
Oh
to
yeah,
come back and audit people, basically. You know,
correct.
they're good at that. If they see any suspicious activity or something looks funny, if you file out the stuff that isn't filed out, or you claim, we've heard so many stories. They know that there will be people who will exploit the system, and they will come back and they will do the investigation. We've seen that happen over, you know, on other situations and other scenarios before. I think at the moment we shouldn't get too worried about how the government is going to get this money. Yes, it will. This happens all the time. We're going to a recession. The government have to come out and help the public. And then over time, they will do their budget. And it won't just be individuals that will pay. You know, the way the government accumulate or generate revenue is in different form. Inheritance tax, corporation tax, so many different tax. It doesn't always have to hit individual directly. Yes, there will be some sort of direct impact on individuals, but there are so many different ways in which the government generate their own revenue. And I think what's really key at this moment in time is that those that desperately need this help gets this help.
Now, when your highlights, you mentioned something about vouchers. Do you want to talk about that for a few minutes?
Yeah, so basically so there were two types of vouchers that the government announced, so to speak. The first voucher is the Eat Out voucher that I already mentioned. The other one is to do with the green investments. So basically from September, hundreds and thousands of households will be able to apply for grants up to £5,000 to make their home more environmentally friendly. So what that means is that you know, if you want to make your house more eco-friendly, do loft insulation or wall insulation or floor insulation, you want to change your boiler to a more eco-friendly boiler, you want to double glaze or triple glaze your window, you want to change your energy lighting to a low energy one, or, you know, then what the government have announced that they will be doing, they announced about 2 billion worth of grants. So each household will be entitled to get a grant of up to £5,000. And obviously poorer household can get up to £10,000. What they're looking to do with this is that, you know, every year families can then, after they've made this one-off investment, you can then start saving on your yearly energy bill. So the government estimated that on average about £300 per year will be saved on energy bills. You know, so that's part of that investment. And obviously that investment also would help certain other industry, like the public sector industry as well, investment in some of their projects as well. And that is also to encourage jobs as well, because by investing in those industries, then, you know, they will be able to employ people. And so that's the other voucher that people should look out for. If you're looking to do some sort of home improvement, you know, a good thing to do maybe to try and, you know, steer your home improvement towards a more eco-friendly one, so that you can get this discount from this voucher from the government. And this will be claimable from September. So, and how that would be done would most likely be from a website, or there would be accredited suppliers that you can go to, and they will just apply that voucher straight away.
Yeah. So I was going to add something to that. In that, so I read on the government website as well that they're trying to make this as localized as possible. So rather than have one big organization sitting, I don't know, say Hinkley Point or Birmingham, so like getting 80% of the contracts, you know, nationally, they want the you know, small local companies to actually execute these projects, so that this 2 billion fund is distributed right across the country.
Yeah.
So is this an attempt to actually provide jobs or businesses?
Yes, both. It would provide jobs.
Yeah,
go on, Jums.
No, go for it.
Yes, so I was going to say yes. So two key things it would do. It would provide jobs, especially right across the country, as I said, because they're trying to make this as localized as possible. And then the second thing as well is that so what it would also do to properties. So if you want to do cavity wall insulation, as Jums mentioned, you can claim it's effectively £2 for every pound you spend. So they effectively up to a value of £5,000. So if you spend say £7,500 on this green stuff on your property, you can get up to £5,000 of that back.
Okay. I see.
Yeah, and then the hope is that when you do that now, in future you would spend far less on energy, emitting far less dangerous gases into the atmosphere, and we become a lot greener, because they've got a target of 2050 to become carbon neutral or something like that. And this is all in trying to get us there. Word on on the streets and on social media is that this is nowhere near enough, because apparently Germany are committing about 12 billion euros to this same scheme in their country. They're only about 10 million more than us. So I think, and France, I think I have about 7.5 billion euros. So they don't think we're spending anywhere near enough to get this done. But it's a step in the right direction.
I have a question here in the chat box that says that, do we have to pay the green voucher back? I presume someone said it was the grants.
It's a grant. It's a grant.
No, it's a grant. It's a grant.
It's a grant, so you don't pay it back.
Yeah, you don't pay back. No.
Yeah, and let's not forget that this 2 billion is out of 8.8 billion that is to go towards green investment. So the remainder is actually going to go to construction projects, the public sector, such as hospital maintenance and upgrades and local road networks and things like port maintenance or repairing of schools and rebuilding schools as well. So this is just a fraction of that total pot is being given to the individuals and public, so to speak. The remainder goes to other construction projects that would benefit the public in form of our local hospitals benefiting more, our roads are more worthy, are better and greener, and our schools gets the funding to improve the buildings and make it more energy efficient and things like that. And by doing that, you will see that there will be increase in employment in construction sector as well. So that will also encourage and boost job opportunity in that sector.
I wanted to ask a question, please, if you guys don't mind. So I'm Joe Public, and from all the things you said, I don't have enough to buy a house, or I'm not planning to buy a house at the moment, or I'm not there yet. Not particularly too keen on home improvement because I don't have one. I'm probably a tenant in a property. How does this budget benefit me as an individual? What are the things that an individual can get out of this? What should an individual that I probably don't have enough to eat out, if you see what I mean, just a regular family, what should we look out for in this budget that they have for us?
Well, this is a mini budget. Let's not forget, it's an extension of the budget announced in March. So it's not going to be for everyone. Some people have criticized it and said, "Oh, it doesn't favor freelancers. It's not favoring certain part of the public or certain part of the sector." This budget is trying to focus attention on areas where government thinks is suffering the most, and I think that we need to bear that in mind. Some of the things that have been announced in the earlier budget in March in March, the Chancellor have tried to help as many people as possible in that original budget. So I can appreciate if someone is saying that, it doesn't really, it doesn't affect me, I'm not benefiting. But it could benefit your children. You might have children who is within age 16 and 24 who may be looking for jobs, and I think this budget would benefit them because there's a lot of there's a lot in this budget that is there to support young people who could potentially be impacted, because a lot of young people lost their internship, they lost, because of this COVID-19. And with this budget, government is trying to encourage employers to take on apprentice, and also trainees, and train them up, and pretty much bribing employers to do this. So I think for if family member would be impacted by it, and for furlough scheme, if you think about it, some employers may be thinking of letting the employees go after this October furlough scheme comes to a close. With this budget, the government is saying if you take them back, you get £1,000. So again, directly or indirectly, it will help some people. It might not help everybody, but
okay. Two more questions, one from me, one on the screen. The one on the screen says, will there be an eligibility criteria for the green voucher, or can anyone apply? The one from me is, say again, just a regular person, is there any, from what you've read of the budget or the direction you think it's going, is there any training, cross-training into any industry that you think the government is going to help this industry, go and train to get into this industry, particularly if you think the industry you're in is affected, and to be able to give you good income as a family in the near future?
Bros, I don't know if you want to.
I can take that. So so on the training, there is a specific ring-fenced amount in the budget. I can't remember the exact amount now, specifically targeted at this age group of 16 to 24. If they want to train, I know they've also earmarked, I think, about £500 million towards re-kitting up, or properly kitting up, the job centers to make them fit for purpose, especially for young people, so they can help them with not just with CV writing, but also with cross-training, or so like retraining them for something else to get them better fit for the job market. So there's as I mentioned earlier, I think this guy, he has done his level best to ensure that whatever happens, that as much as he can avoid it, that no one's left behind, especially the young people, because usually they're the most vulnerable at times like this. And sorry, I can't remember what the other questions were. Oh yeah, so the other question about the eligibility criteria. No, it's if you want to do that, if your house isn't sufficiently insulated, and you want to do, and you want to make it more energy efficient, you will qualify for it. It's pretty much as simple and straightforward as that.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really provided more information. The thing with the budget, if something is new, then what they'll do is between now and then, when it will kick off in September, they will then devise a way in which that would then happen. Right now, it's been announced, then they're going to go away and work on how they will logistically implement that. To add on to what Ross said, and what PB, what you were asking in terms of areas of jobs that people could look into. So this apprenticeship and trainee, what government is saying is that frontline job center staff will increase up to 27,000. So which says to me that if there were 10,000 people in the frontline job center job, it means additional 17,000 vacancies will now suddenly pop up, where people would now be able to coach young people. And so you can go into that area and start, if you're the type that you like working with young people and you want to be like a job center coach, then you can that's an area where there would be more jobs in the look out for jobs in that area per se. Construction, I would imagine there'll be lots of job coming from construction industry as well, and even hospitality. Now, if everyone start going out eating out, they may starting to look for job as well. So that could open more opportunities for restaurants to start, taking on more people. So so that's where I sort of see opportunities popping up for people who may be rethinking of how to strategize and start looking for job in areas like that.
All right. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for your time tonight. One of the reasons why we put this program together is just to clear the air regarding some, because for some people just listen to the budget and just think, what, how does this affect me? I want to thank you so much for taking your time out to be here tonight. And for those of you watching, we have Jums, Oladiran, and Segun Adegabi. They are both qualified accountants, and the great leaders in our ministry. We have Mr. DJ, who is a learning and development consultant, who's a great minister in the church as well. And of course, you have Pastor Bola and yours truly. The Lord bless you. I want to just take time out and thank you so much. Shida says that was really useful. Thank you very much for that feedback, Shida. I want to just take some time out and just pray for just 2 minutes, right? And just pray for our country, pray for our leaders, pray for Boris Johnson, pray for the Chancellor, because it's important as believers and also being a marketplace ministry. I want to just take a few minutes to just pray. Wherever you are, just join us in this prayer. I want to just spend time and just pray for the leading of the Holy Spirit to guide our leaders, to guide our Prime Minister and his team through this challenging period. You know, the whole world's in a place where they've never been before. So wherever you are, just pray and say, Heavenly Father, the Bible says we should pray for the government of the nations where we dwell. And so you want to pray, say, Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, we want to just thank you for our nation. We thank you because we are resident here. We ask, oh God, that you lead our leaders. Father, we ask for the spirit of wisdom to lead our Prime Minister and his team in steering the economy in the right direction in the name of Jesus. Father, we pray for open doors. We pray for open doors. We pray for open over this economy in the name of Jesus. Father, we ask for unusual wisdom to rest upon those in government in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, again, I use this medium as a point of contact to anyone under the sound of my voice who is believing you for a breakthrough in the marketplace, who is believing you for a breakthrough in jobs. Father, I decree favor for them in the mighty name of Jesus. I pray for that particular individual who is looking forward to that interview this week or next week. Lord, I pray for your favor upon them in the name of Jesus. Father, we thank you. We bless your holy name. In Jesus' name we pray, and the family say,
Amen. Amen.
Right.
Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, by 9 o'clock, I want you to join me. We are, as a ministry, we are on the 21-day fast, and I meet and pray with people every day from 9 to 9:15. So if you go to gatewaychapel.org.uk/July fast, JULYFAST. All right, gatewaychapel.org.uk/July fast. Join me 9 o'clock, and I will pray with you specifically for 15 minutes. We do this. This is the 8th day. I will be doing this from last week, really. So because we're on the 21-day fast. All right. So Segun, thank you so much for your time. Jums, thank you so much for your time. DJ, thank you so much for your time. Pastor Bola, thank you so much for being here. Lots of love, everybody, and see you guys at 9 o'clock.
Good night.
Blessed.
Good night.
Yeah, bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.